Before we get into this card, just wanted to talk a little bit about Tyson and Dillian Whyte. Obviously, last time I saw you at the press conference, you said, I reckon we might flog 60,000 tickets in one day. You did a bit better than that, didn't you?
Sold them all. They're all gone. I mean, they're all gone. I mean, it's unbelievable. They all sold out. We could have sold it out a couple of times over. There's no doubt about that. And we're still waiting for Brent Council to come back to us, see if we can increase the capacity.
Some going that. I mean, it just shows the appetite for this fight, doesn't it?
It shows the appetite for the fight, and it shows the appetite for Tyson Fury. You know, he's had tremendous fights in America. Those fights with Deontay Wilder were epic fights, all of them. He looked so, they were just exciting, amazing fights. So it's 4 years away from the UK. He's coming back here, making his homecoming, his debut at Wembley Stadium. Everybody wants to see it, and as is proven by the uptake of the tickets and the sellout.
And he's in camp now. Is that all going so far?
Yeah.
All going well as far as you know.
I hope it's going well. He's up in Morecambe. He's got his camp. He's in full camp, and he's got his sparring partners and team in. So it's not far away now. It's only just over a month, isn't it? So he'll be, he's training hard, and he's looking forward to the fight.
I've got to say, he gave a brilliant performance on that press conference, given that he had no one to actually bounce off.
Well, that's the man, isn't it? That's what you are. You know, when you are what he is, which is the number one heavyweight in the world, the best heavyweight of his generation. As a fighter, that's brilliant. But as a performer, he's even better. I mean, the fact that he could carry that on his own without the opponent. I mean, it's brilliant.
But it's not ideal not having the opponent there. Where are we at? Are we likely to hear from Dillian at all before fight week?
Well, I hope so, because otherwise there won't be a fight. No, he has contractual commitments, and he's failed on one of them already. But I think that he will. Well, I hope he will. On the week of the fight, be there, and I hope he'll act professionally and do what he should do, which is to be available to the press to help market and sell the fight and sell the pay-per-view. I hope he'll do that. If he doesn't, then obviously there'll be a problem afterwards. But one thing for sure, he's not going to be able to avoid Tyson Fury. He's going to have to be at that press conference. He's going to have to face up to him at the weigh-in. And more importantly, on the night, he's going to have to get in that ring with him. That is what he's going to have to do.
I mean, do you think it's going to be a demolition job for Tyson?
No, I think a good Tyson Fury, I think is a tough fight for anybody, and he's a bit like he's like a good wine. He's just maturing and getting better in every performance, and he's a tough guy. He's shown he's got a great chin. We know he's got great hand speed. He's got great footwork. He's got a fantastic boxing brain. He can punch. Go and ask Deontay Wilder. He'll confirm that he can punch, and he's got great recovery powers if he gets clipped himself. Switch hitter. He's a bloody handful for anyone. I mean, he ticks all the boxes, doesn't he? He's got everything going for him. Look, he's up for this fight, and I think we're going to see a real vintage performance from him. Yeah,
you say vintage, maturing like a fine wine, but he reckons this could be his last fight. I suppose as a promoter, it's a double-edged sword for you, because on the one hand, you obviously want, you like him as a man and want him to go out at the top and protect himself, but on the other hand, you want to see him in big fights.
I want to see him do what he wants to do, because if he's fighting and he's not comfortable with fighting and he doesn't want to fight, then he shouldn't be in the ring. And that him and any other boxer, it's a dangerous place to be if you don't want to be there. So, provided he wants to fight on, he wants to carry on fighting, and he'll make that decision after the 23rd of April, I'll support him. If he don't want to, then I'll support him. He's done brilliantly for British boxing, brilliantly for himself, not just for boxing as well, for himself and for a person who's been an example for people who've had been through tough times mentally, turned his life completely around, and you've got to take his hat off to him for that. He's a world champion for doing that. So whatever he chooses to do, we'll all be behind him.
Great stuff. Just staying on the heavyweights, Joe Joyce, him and AJ had a bit of sparring on Twitter in recent weeks, both saying they would be happy to fight each other. Any chance that will happen?
Look, we don't want sparring on Twitter. We want to fight in a ring. We want to see the real thing. It's not even you're not even pushing an open door with us. There's no door. It's just an opening. So just step in and we can make that fight. Sit down, all parties concerned, sit down and work it out. Joe wants it. We want it. And why wouldn't AJ want it?
Yeah, that would be another hell of a fight if that came off.
Well, that's what we want to do. That's what the British public want to do. That's what they want to see. They want to see these fights. They want to see the best fighting the best. So let's get it on.
And Dubois, Brian, where are we at with that? That's happening, that fight, isn't it?
The purse bid got postponed from last Monday, and it will now be on this Monday coming up. So we just, again, want to get that on. We want to get Daniel back in action. He's been inactive, not through us or through himself, but because of this situation with the WBA and what's been going on with their heavyweight division. And we couldn't afford or take the chance of making him another fight. And they say, "Oh, you're busy, so we go to the next guy." So he's had to show that patience, and I hope it's going to pay off. I hope we win the purse bid. Whoever wins it next Monday, just get the fight on, because he's capable of winning that title. And if he does that, again, he's in the mix, and it's for Britain. It's brilliant. We've got all these guys there, all queuing up to make big fights.
Yeah, I suppose in your eyes, you see him probably as the natural successor to Joyce and Tyson when eventually they move on.
He's the younger man, isn't he? What's he now? 20, 23, 24. I mean, they're both in their 30s, and that's what happens. Eventually, they will retire. They'll move on, and he's the new. I think he's the young guy coming through.
And one person who is getting his world title shot, Zach Parker. I see the smile on your face there. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Well, it has. I mean, he's been with that. Well, to be fair, we've delivered it. He's been sitting around for a while, and he's been with us, what now, 6, 7, 9 months, whatever it may be, and we've delivered. So we're going to do that fight. We're going to do it in his hometown, and we will have Demetrius Andrade will come over for the press conference. Unfortunately, his passport expired. We was hoping to get him in this week, but that's not happening. But there's nothing sinister in it. It's a genuine thing. He sent us the photocopies of it and so forth. So once he's in, we can officially announce the fight date, get the tickets on sale, and I think it's another great night on BT Sport, BT Boxing, the best boxing on the box.
That's brilliant, Frank. I can't emulate that. Just a quick run through some of the other boys. Anthony Yard told us the other night that he's hoping to be on the Tyson Fury undercard if he gets the right opponent.
Well, we're working on that, and we will be announcing the undercard. We said it a couple of times, be announcing it, but we will be announcing it on Monday.
Okay, and Tommy Fury, again, it fits into the same category, I guess.
I hope so. So, as I say, on Monday, all will be revealed.
Okay, can't wait. Okay, so we'll just move on to this card. David Avanesyan, I mean, we all know, what he can do. You must be delighted to have him on board.
Yeah, I mean, Neil Marshall also manages Zach, brought him along. He wanted him to be with us. We wanted him with us, and he's a great addition to our group of fighters. I mean, he's a exciting sod. There's no doubt about that. He is a wrecking machine. He can punch. He's upset a lot of fighters here. So now he's become the favourite rather than the underdog in these fights. So he's fighting an undefeated guy in Oscari, if I pronounce that right, Oscari, who hasn't ducked him. No one wants to fight him, and as he said at the press conference himself, "I'll fight him. That's why I'm here." So you've got to take your hat off to him. He's undefeated. Undefeated fighters, you never know. You never know at the end of the day when it comes to digging deep what they have got, because they're never been in that trouble. So who knows? Maybe he might be an upset on the cards. I don't know about that, but the facts of the matter is, we're delighted he's with us, and and hopefully he'll come through and we move him into some big fights. He's ranked number 2 by the WBC, and I think if he puts a good performance in, we'll get him in some form of a world title this year.
And you tried to set him up with Conor Benn, you said, but
They didn't want to know.
You think Conor Benn just doesn't want that fight?
Maybe he does, but his management and his promoter doesn't want it. And to be quite honest, if I was them, I wouldn't want it.
Okay, just come to the co-main. Hamzah Sheeraz back, stepped up, first fight at middleweight. Think that was the right decision?
Yeah, he's been struggling at the weight, and look at him, he's a big lad. I mean, he looks like a light heavyweight. He's a very tall, big, rangy fighter, and an exceptional fighter, exceptional young talent. This is his first fight, as you say, in middleweight, and he's fighting a guy who's a tough sod. Jez Smith comes to fight, and he'll get the best out of him. He's fought at higher weight, and he's right up for it. And it's the first time he says that, and I believe him, that he's had a chance to prepare, get into a camp and prepare for a fight rather than being called in as a last-minute sub. So this is going to be, I think it's going to be a tough test for Hamzah.
And all the talk I've heard today with the interviews with him, a lot of it has been about his last fight and all the controversy about that. And I mean, he himself has said, he wants to right a few wrongs.
Well, look, he knocked before. The controversy was about the fact he hit the guy when he was down, but he knocked him down in the first place and hit with 2 good shots and sent him down in Bradley. And Bradley's a good fighter and he was doing well in that fight. But I felt that he was, you could see shortening that gap, and he did what he had to. He's an exceptional talent. But look how many fights he's had. Look at the experience he had compared with what Bradley had. So he done well, and I think he's going to be a great addition now to the middleweight scene.
Yeah, it's hard to think he's only 22 still, because he seems to have been around forever.
Yeah, he's a baby, but he's a very, very professional. Got a very professional team around him. They prepare properly. He's been training in the States with top-class sparring partners and his team, and I think that people are going to be excited by his performance on Saturday.
Okay, just last question. We've got a few other fighters out. We've got Dennis McCann. We've got Royston Barney-Smith. Yeah, absolutely. I think a few world champions in the making there.
Look, they're young guys out on their journey. Dennis was in the same position as Royston a few years ago, and he's done brilliantly. He's come through. This is his first title fight. He's still a young man, and I think he's still got a way to go. But he I think is going to be one of the stars of the future.
Okay.
As far as Royston's concerned, he's 18 years of age. He had 50 amateur bouts. He won 45 of them. He's 2-time European champion, 18. Turned pro at the same age as Ricky Hatton, as Amir Khan, and the great Nassim Hamid. So he's following in some serious footsteps there. And if he could do half as well as they did, he's going to be something special. But he looks good. He's got that look about him and that feel about him that he is a special talent, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on him, which I really shouldn't be doing. I never really do, but I think we're going to like him. I think he's a good addition to the boxing scene.
Brilliant, mate. Looks like the future's bright.
I hope so. It's very bright, mate. I mean, it's a bright day today. The sun's out, so long may it continue to do so. And we got some tremendous talent. We've invested. Since we started this thing on BT Sports, since they got into boxing and we've done this partnership together with Queensberry, we knew what our ulterior motive was, and that was to build and build and build. And we built solid foundations. All the fighters that we brought through, I would say 90% of them have done the business. So this is good times, and now we'll reap the benefit of that. And as I say, there's still other youngsters still on their way through. So it's a really good time certainly for BT, Queensberry, and for British boxing. Good fighters.